The Spectrum, Congressman Pat Tiberi has been on Capitol Hill for more than a decade. We'll talk to him about why he wants to stay there and what's keeping Congress busy in 2014. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty brings stakeholders together to talk about how to keep the housing market stable and how to avoid another mortgage crisis. New poll numbers that one of Ohio's gubernatorial candidates is celebrating and one is lamenting. And we'll talk about that with the All-Star Roundtable on the Spectrum. From Tea Party challenges to the VA scandal to an election that could shift the balance of power, it's a busy time on Capitol Hill. Welcome to the Spectrum. I'm Colleen Marshall. Republican Congressman Pat Tiberi is asking voters to send him back to Washington for a 7th term. I sat down with him to talk about issues and efforts in this election year. Well, Congressman Tiberi, I know you're concerned about the situation, the VA scandal, and some of the horrendous charges that have been made about how our returning veterans are being treated. What's being done?
Well, timely, because this week we're going to be voting on a bill, and I'm an original co-sponsor. Congressman Jeff Miller, who's the chairman of the Veterans Administration Committee in the House, introduced a bill called the VA Accountability Measure, and it will give more discretion to fire, demote, any VA personnel, whether it be in a hospital, a clinic, or at an office, because right now there are people who are not being held accountable for the lousy treatment of veterans that's occurring, and it's just unacceptable, Colleen.
Does the bill have accountability in it?
It does.
Is there a way to go in? What's going on? Because we've heard from veterans, too, who are desperate for help.
Well, this is only one measure. I believe there should be an FBI investigation on this. I believe if I were the president, I would have the VA secretary leave his job. He should be gone. There needs to be a cleaning of the house on this, because this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as I'm concerned. We already knew, even before any of these scandals, as we have, as you said, a number of returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. The VA is way behind in processing claims, in getting medical care to veterans, the increased mental conditions that aren't being looked at in a proper way. And now with all of this that's come out drip by drip by drip, we have to have this measure will help. It's supported by all the veterans groups. They have been pounding on the table to try to get this passed, and they're pleased today that the Speaker has announced that it will be up this coming week. So this is a good first step, but much more needs to be done on this. It's really a tragic event.
Now, you mentioned the Speaker. Of course, you're very close to John Boehner and have been throughout your time in Congress. He was challenged by the Tea Party. He was one of the targets.
He was.
He survived that. Do you think the Tea Party hold on your party is lessening a bit?
Well, there's a more at play here than just the Tea Party versus people. We're all, in a sense, in the Republican Party. Remember, taxed enough already was part of the whole mantra back in 2009, the health care bill. What the Speaker has talked about that has, I think, ebbed, quite frankly, in Washington is these outside conservative, self-identified Tea Party groups that the Washington Post did a great job of exposing, and that is they send mailings to your neighbors who tend to be conservative and frustrated with Washington, and say, send me $100 and we're going to get these people to be more conservative. And about 80% of the money that they raise, they pocket, or they set up their own mailing house, or they set up their own phone banks that they're getting a cut from. So they're making themselves rich. And that's what the Speaker, Mitch McConnell, and others have said they have an issue with. They don't have an issue with individuals who feel as though we need to fight and be an opposition party to Obama. Quite frankly, Republicans are part of a coalition, and people who are self-identified at Tea Party are part of it. But I think sometimes the Democrats and some in the media want to say this is about control. What the Speaker has talked about, and why they came in after him from the outside, is that he called them, those groups in Washington, for what they were. And they were outside groups making money, lining their own pockets, and that's why they went after him.
Let's talk about what you're focusing on this year.
Yep.
As you're headed toward, a new election again, and this will be, I believe, your 7th try at getting into office. What do you want to do in 2014?
So I'm on the Ways and Means Committee, chairman of the Select Revenue, which is taxes. We have tried to put forward a comprehensive tax bill. We've been rebuffed by the president. The Senate has decided not to move on this. They have a new chairman in the Senate now. His name's Ron Wyden. We're not sure who's going to control the Senate the next election. Could be Republicans, could be a Democrat. So there's a new day, but between now and the election, we're not going to get comprehensive tax reform. So what we are doing now is we got 100 provisions or so that are set to expire or have already expired at the end of last year. They're called the extenders. They are a mix of things that are for individuals or for companies, employers. So we're trying to get some of those extended. The one that I'm working on that's going to be on the floor in the next couple weeks is something called a Section 179 of the tax code, which expensing for small businesses. So if you own a small business and you use trucks in your business, you can expense the purchase of a truck up to $500,000. It encourages small businesses to invest. That provision expired at the end of last year, so a number of employers are like, do I reinvest? Do I wait? What's Congress going to do? And so we in the House are going to move on making it permanent, because part of what comprehensive tax reform is all about to us is providing predictability for individuals and for employers so they can make investments rather than, is it going to expire in 1 year, is it going to expire in 2 years, which creates, by the way, a lot of complexity to the code. So taxes is a #1 issue that we're working on, trying to make our tax code more predictable.